Episode 4 of The New Gate begins with Schnee healing Lady Riona's knights after their tough battle with the skull-faced monster. After ensuring the knights are okay, Schnee leaves to continue patrolling the area, all the while thinking about reuniting with Shin. Meanwhile, Shin, Rasia, and Wilhelm are still on their quest to obtain the purifying skill. Wilhelm shows off the power of his weapon, making quick work of a skull-faced jack. With the monster defeated, Rasia finally meets her quota and acquires the purifying skill. They celebrate their success, relieved that they can now save the orphanage from the greedy men threatening it. However, their celebration is interrupted when all the magical energy in the area gathers together, forming a powerful level 804 Skullface Lord. The Skullface Lord summons a legion of undead to surround Shin, Rasia, and Wilhelm. Wilhelm decides they should run, but Shin stays behind to keep the monsters from reaching the city. Shin unleashes his full power, removing his limiter, and uses his abilities to enhance Wilhelm's speed, allowing Wilhelm to escape safely with Rasia. As Shin battles the undead, the sounds of his fight reach Schnee, who moves towards the commotion. Shin's map shows an ally approaching, so he goes to meet them. He arrives in a flower field accompanied by Yuzuha and finally meets Schnee. Schnee rushes to embrace Shin, and Yuzuha puts up a barrier to ensure they are not disturbed. After their heartfelt reunion, Yuzuha's barrier drops, and they come face to face with the Skullface Lord. Shin and Schnee join forces to cast a powerful holy skill called Sanctuary, which destroys the low-level undead, leaving only the Skullface Lord. Shin strikes the monster with his sword, but just before the Skullface Lord dies, it speaks, surprising Shin. After the battle, Shin explains to Schnee how he traveled through time and ended up in the future. Schnee tells him about the seismic shifts that caused chaos on the continent, forcing the remaining helpers to go their separate ways. Shin asks Schnee to stop calling him Master, as it could lead to misunderstandings. Blushing, Schnee agrees and starts calling him by his name. Shin tells Schnee that he plans to leave the new gate after finding a way through, which makes her sad. Changing the subjects, Schnee suggests they have a celebration at the Moon Sanctum when they return to the kingdom. Meanwhile, Yuzuha reveals that she can talk and shows off her 3 tails to Shin. Shin asks her to hide the tails in public to avoid attracting attention. The group meets up with Wilhelm and Rasia, who are surprised and scared by how Shin and Schnee arrived so quickly. Elsewhere, Lady Riona and her knights discover Shin's weapon among the battle's wreckage. The episode ends with one of the knights revealing that the only person capable of forging such a blade is the legendary blacksmith. Ryan and Jedris discuss the mysterious black blacksmith, who is thought to own the great sword Jedris carries. Ryan reveals that the black blacksmith also owns the Moon Sanctum, surprising Jedris. Ryan suggests they visit the Moon Sanctum after their mission to learn more about this enigmatic figure. Meanwhile, Wilhelm confronts Shin about why he is associated with Schnee Razar, a powerful figure known for her independence and strength. Wilhelm is curious because Schnee has a reputation for never bowing to anyone. Shin tries to lie, claiming that it was Schnee who defeated the powerful Skullface Lord. However, Wilhelm doesn't believe him after witnessing Shin's own immense magical power during the battle. Shin reluctantly confesses that he is a high human, a being of immense power, and that Schnee is his servant. Wilhelm explains that high humans are like gods, possessing extraordinary skills and powers. After this conversation, they decide to part ways. Wilhelm and Rasia head to the church, while Shin and Schnee go to the Moon Sanctum. Before parting, Shin gives Wilhelm a magical letter to send messages, insisting that Wilhelm use it if needed. Upon arriving at the Moon Sanctum, Schnee is greeted by Th3, who is curious about Shin's presence. Schnee reveals that Shin is the owner of the Moon Sanctum, shocking Th3 because she knows that the owner is a legendary high human. Although Shin had previously told her he was a high human, she hadn't believed him until Schnee confirmed it. Now the truth is undeniable, and Th3 is in awe. Schnee prepares a meal, and they all gather to eat. During dinner, Schnee mentions that the other supporting characters assumed Shin had died long ago. Th3, having drunk too much sake, becomes intoxicated and starts speaking incoherently. Schnee decides to take her to her room to rest. Shin heads to his own room, where he finds Yuzuha asleep. He lies down and soon falls into a deep sleep. In the middle of the night, Shin wakes up to find Schnee beside him, quietly crying. He wipes away her tears, unsure why she is upset. They fall asleep again, and the next morning Shin finds white hair in his bed. He discovers it belongs to Yuzuha, who has transformed into a human form. Surprised, he tells Yuzuha to put on clothes and gives her an outfit that fits her. After breakfast, Shin, Schnee, Th3 and Yuzuha gather to talk. Shin asks Yuzuha why she was at the temple. Yuzuha explains that it was the only place that didn't cause her pain. Shin asks about the event from 500 years ago when people disappeared, but Yuzuha doesn't have much information. She recalls a disaster that made it hard to breathe, leading her to seek refuge in the temple, where Shin saved her. Schnee mentions that Gerard, one of the support characters from the game Shin used to play, wants to meet Shin. Gerard, a high beast, has lived far beyond his expected lifespan of 150 years. Despite this, Schnee says Gerard has been waiting for Shin. He united many beast tribes and established the Farn Beast Alliance. He is also known as the first Beast King, and the current king is the 8th in line. Shin, eager to see Gerard, decides they will leave the next day. Schnee suggests that Th3 register as an adventurer to accompany them. Shin invites Th3 to go to the guild with him. They leave the Moon Sanctum, enjoying the bright weather and the freedom of being outside. As they walk toward the guild, ready to start their next adventure, Shin apologizes for accidentally glancing at Th3's chest. Th3 acknowledges his apology, and they continue on their way, looking forward to the new challenges ahead. Shin and Th3 enter the town. Th3 is amazed by the large number of people gathered there, but Shin tells her it's actually a slow day compared to other days. He's amused by her amazement and finds it hard to believe that she was once afraid to even leave the shop. He takes her to the Adventurer Guild. When they arrive, Shin is immediately promoted to a rank adventurer because of his heroic deeds against the skull faces in the forest. Celia asks Shin about Th3, so he introduces her and tells Celia that Th3 wants to register as an adventurer. Shin also asks for information about sacred sites, but Celia denies his request because his rank isn't high enough. It needs to be at least B. He then asks for any missions they can do on the way to Farned. Celia suggests a simple escort mission where they can work with another team, and they agree to take it. While waiting for Th3's guild card, Shin takes her around town to do some sightseeing. They visit an orphanage together, where the people thank Shin for helping them save the place. After that, they go back to the guild to pick up Th3's guild card, and then Shin teleports them back to the Moon Sanctum. He puts the shop into a necklace, and they head out to meet the merchant for their mission. Shin and Th3 arrive outside the city walls and meet Gayan and Sabaki, who are their partners for this mission. They are introduced to Nak, the merchant they have to escort safely. Everyone introduces themselves and mentions their ranks, with Gayan revealing that he is a rank adventurer. At the same time, the kingdom of Belricht is worried because the Moon Sanctum has suddenly disappeared. The king calms down a bit when he hears that Schnee is on her way to the castle. Sabaki asks Shin if he's from Hinomoto, where most samurai come from, but he says no. Their conversation is cut short when some bandits block the road. The bandits threaten Nak and Sabaki, which makes Shin start emitting a terrible bloodlust that even scares Th3. Th3 is horrified by the idea of having to kill someone, but she still shoots at the bandits hiding in the forest. Shin and the others defeat all the bandits, but they keep the boss alive for questioning. Shin asks the boss how they got their information. Th3 comes over and hugs Shin to help him calm down and stop his bloodlust. The episode ends with Th3 looking at Shin in embarrassment, while Shin seems confused.